Hey, everybody. I owe you an apology because I got away from a fundamental teaching that God has given me about marriage. And it's time to get back to it. Lean in. Let me explain. Hey, this is Damon Rich. Damon Rich Speaks. Listen, when I first started or felt led or encouraged, motivated, inspired to getting into coaching marriages, encouraging marriages, I had a formula that I feel was given to me by God. And along the way, in the attempt to build so many different things, I got away from this core thing about marriage and its glue. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he sent me a video, and the video was talking about the number one reasons marriage fail. And it really jumped into, or it talked about sex being the number, sexless marriage being the number one reasons marriage fail. And he asked me if I agreed with that. And I said, nope, don't agree with it at all. I'm going to tell you the 5 things that I think, and I'm pulling it up on my phone because I want to get this to you the way that I said it. I said, here's to be clear, a sexless marriage does not help marriage, to be clear, but it's not number one reason. Number one reason I gave him, and then I'm going to get to that formula that God has given me, is a lack of shared purpose. I'm going to circle back to that. But the number one reason that marriages fail is a lack of shared purpose. And I'll tell you why I believe that in just a moment. Number 2 is a lack of education about marriage. I read a study one time that says that on average, and this is on the low end, a couple spends about 540 hours planning the wedding. They spend an average of 8 hours or less planning for the marriage. I want you to sink in. They spend 540 hours preparing for a 3 to 4 hour event. If you throw in the rehearsal dinner and all of that, okay, a 10-hour event, 540 hours, right? But they spend, let's just break this down for a minute. I'm going to pull out my handy dandy calculator here, and I'm going to say it's a 10-hour event divided by 540 hours. That means they spend 1.8%, let's just round it up, 2% of their time planning for a 10-hour event. Let's see. I think the average lasting of a marriage, let's just Google it right here. Average length of marriage. Average length of marriage. The average length of a marriage in the U.S. is 19.9 years. Let's see how many, 19.9 years, let's call it 20. Let's see, how many hours in a year? How many hours in a year? Oh, 8,760 hours in a year. Okay, so 8,760 hours in a year. Let's go, 8,760 hours in a year times 20 years. That is 175,200 hours in a year. Now let's just divide that by 8 hours, right? 175,200 times 100. That means that they spend 0.00456621 amount of time preparing for the average length of a marriage. They don't even spend 1% of the time. And I realize that 19 years, 20 years, that's a long time. You could spend, whatever, 540, and you're still kind of a little long on the low end. But I want you to understand, one of those events is significantly longer or potentially significantly longer than the other. Yet we put the most time in the thing that's going to last the shortest. And that's probably the reason why some of those don't even last that long, like the debt from the wedding outlasts the actual marriage. Anyway, okay, so I gave my friend that, right? Lack of preparation, number 2, right? Number three, let's see. Number three reason that I believe, my top 5 reasons of why marriages fail: immaturity. See reason number 2. When you don't invest no time in it, you don't figure out those things that you need to address before getting into it. Immaturity. Immaturity. And you know what? I'm going to come back with another list of the top 5 mistakes I see couples that do come to pre-marriage education make before getting into a wedding, or to a marriage. Okay. So immaturity. Now, number 4, selfishness. You think immaturity and selfishness go hand in hand? Maybe so. So I said, see reasons number 1 and 3, right? Each person believes the marriage is there to serve them instead of serving the marriage. Notice I didn't say serve each other, but the entity of marriage, which they both draw from. You are there to serve the marriage. Think about marriage as a bucket. What you invest into it in different phases allows each spouse to pull out at certain times as it needs, but both are equally investing into the bucket of marriage. That's why it's frustrating when you see people put children above the marriage, and now my children become before the whole. Without your husband, these children wouldn't be here, right? And even if the children were there before your husband got there, and maybe they're not his, if he helps produce a stable home, they benefit from the stable home. So now we're sitting here and we're looking at this from a perspective of selfishness, right? Selfishness. You believe the marriage is about serving you. You believe the marriage is about serving your spouse. And it's not. The marriage is about serving the marriage. And think of the marriage as a bucket. And then both people can draw from the bucket. All right, let's watch this. Number 5 is society. Society does not foster helpful images of marriage, and the system is built for marriages to fail because it produces chaos, and it's easy for a unified leadership government to rule over a chaotic people because they're distracted. There's a whole conversation about ending no-fault divorce, blah, blah. That's a whole nother topic for another time. But those are my top 5 reasons of why marriages really end. And if I were to go to 10, sex might be number 11. So let me give you my top 5 again. Lack of shared purpose, lack of education, immaturity, selfishness, and society. Now, let me get back to that shared purpose, because this is the real glue to marriage. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He created all the animals, created plants, trees, birds, grass, palm trees, cattle, lion, zebras, African wild dogs. He created all of that in the beginning. Then God looked around and said, there's nobody to take care of this thing that I've created. I'm going to make a man. And he's going to need some help. So I'm going to create a woman. He needs help not only tending to this garden that I've created, but he also needs help reproducing my image in the earth. Because, secret, you cannot see the full image of God in the earth without man and woman. Without man and woman, you cannot see the full image of God in the earth. Just a little pro tip there. So you get man and woman together, they reproduce the image of God in the earth. When they are together after the fall, man, Eve threw the snake under the bus, and Adam threw Eve under the bus, and all of that, but they still stayed together. They still stayed together because they had shared purpose. What was that shared purpose? Reproducing God's image, tending to the garden. Oh, well, that's great. You talked about Adam and Eve. Oh, let me go to Abraham and Sarai. A promise had to come, in order to fulfill the prophecy that happened in the garden about that he should bruise your heel and you should bruise and he shall bruise his head, when he was talking to the serpent, and that was forecasting or foreshadowing of Christ or what have you. And so God went about and some things happened, some machinations happened. We get to Abraham, and oh my goodness, Abraham done lied and almost got his wife raped. They had shared purpose, kept it going. Oh, I don't know. Let's keep going. I don't know, maybe Ruth and Boaz. Because when you start going through the lineage of Jesus and you get all the way back, how it all weaves back, David and all this good stuff. Listen, shared purpose. Shared purpose. Shared purpose. Esther and King Ahasuerus, here we go. They come together to spare the people. Said to Esther, but perhaps you were created for such a time as this. Perhaps this union was put together for such a time as this. Shared purpose. Now, here's where we get it twisted. We think that having a nice 401k, retirement, being able to vacation around the world, being able to have our house paid off, those are all great goals. Getting our kids through respectable colleges, nice goals. Don't confuse goals and purpose. Goals serve your agenda. Purpose serves God's agenda. Goals serve your agenda. Purpose serves God's agenda. Now, here's three things of how we got here and how God got me to the key to the glue to marriage is shared purpose. Why it's not love? Because we love imperfectly. Why it's not warm and fuzzy feelings, romance? Why it's not goals? Because one person is sometimes more ambitious than the other person, and so they feel, oh, I've outgrown you. It's shared purpose because of this, and here's how I got here. First thing God said is, why would you ask them? And this is what he asked me. He says, why'd you want to do marriage? And this is in a very troubled time in my own marriage. He said, why did you want to do marriage in the first place? I mean, as you've learned, it's a very sacrificial relationship. And it's not hard work. That's a different discussion. I can tell you what makes it feel like hard work, but marriage isn't really hard work. I can tell you later why it seems that way. But why would you want to enter into the sacrificial relationship in the first place? Because what that is about is your own personal motive for marriage in general. For men, some men, man, I want to be able to, because especially saved men, man, I don't want to be sinning anymore. So I found this girl, I like her pretty good, and I have all the free sex I want. To not be burdened with sin after the fact. Great. Okay, thanks. For some women, I want to be provided and protected, and I want to be able to have no worries. Okay, great. That question about why marriage anyway, regardless of who it's with, is all about your motive. Why you got into it. Uh-oh. In my top 5, if I had to add a 6, here we go. Motive for marriage. Now, here we go. The second question God asked me is, he said, now, out of all of the people you could choose, let's just say hypothetically, you could choose your dream guy or your dream girl. You could have married Beyonce. You could have married Denzel. Why did you choose this person? Now, some people say, well, I ain't have access to Denzel and Beyonce at the time, God, so, this was the best thing as him. No, teasing. Why this person? So now he's moved from your overall motive to your motive for this person. Some people settled. They thought they got into a situation in a book I'm writing calling The Settling Woman. Some women and some men, for that fact, are the Mayas whale. I may as well marry them because I've been with them for so long. I may as well because they've always been here. I may as well. What's your motive for choosing this particular person? Then we get into question number 3. He said, okay, I hear why you did it in general. I hear why you're choosing to do this sacrificial thing with this person. But what's my return on investment? What do I get out of bringing the two of you together and working with you in this marriage thing? Because purpose doesn't serve you, it serves the earth. When God brought man and woman together, their purpose of being there served the earth. It was to reproduce God's image in the earth, and it was to tend to and take care of the earth. So whatever your marriage purpose is, it is designed to give to and tend to the earth in some way, shape, or form. So now, how is your marriage tending to the earth? If you and your spouse do not have a shared purpose, your marriage is in danger. Here's the thing that purpose does, and I learned this personally. When you don't like them, when you don't love them, because our human love is imperfect, if you believe that your marriage and your union with that person is serving godly purpose and you want to continue to be obedient to God and He has asked you to stay, you'll say, God, all of a sudden, that one scripture that's there that says all things work together for the good of those who are called to who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. All things work together for those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. All things work together for those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. Let me twist it. All things work together for the good of those marriages that love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. When I remember the purpose of God, it allowed me to endure and gave God the opportunity to heal my marriage so that we could go out and serve the earth. How are we serving the earth? By helping other marriages heal. Listen, I'm getting back to teaching on purpose. If you're ready to take that ride, I want you to be on the lookout for some workshops we have coming up about finding purpose in marriage. Because I want your marriage to have the full return on investment to God that it's supposed to have, because then the blessings that are promised to you are going to flow to your marriage, to your union, to your home. And a lot of those goals, those will be byproducts of a purpose-driven marriage. That's all I have for you today. Listen, until next video, God bless.